Race films were movies made for black audience between 1915 and 1955. In most American silent movies, minorities were generally played by white actors in makeup. When actual minorities were cast, roles were generally limited. Latinos in silent movies usually play greasers and bandits. Asian Americans play waiters, tongs, and laundrymen. And blacks usually play bellboys, stand hands, maids, or simple buffoons. Early film depictions of black characters were highly offensive. The race film era produced around 500 films. Of these, fewer than 100 remained. Race films found its demand outside to Hollywood studio system, which now they have been largely forgotten by mainstream film historians. The popularity of race films excelled through the African American community. Their influence continued in black cinema well in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, with many of the actors making cameo appearances in Hollywood films. The race film era was a classy time for black actors. While Hollywood chose black actors to play stereotypical roles such as butlers and maids, race films portrayed black actors with non-stereotypical characteristics. We know this period as the civil rights era of black cinema. However, this doesn't mean that the movies made were about civil rights for blacks. The civil rights era of black cinema represents the period, not the content of the films. Between 1955 and 1969, there was a decrease of African American films made by blacks in the US. There were not a lot of movies made during this period by black actors as lead or films featuring an all-black cast. Almost no movies directed by African Americans were released commercially in the United States. The late 50s was seen the final stages of race films, so this was a transition period for black actors, writers, and directors. A unique characteristic of the 60s black cinema was the increase of the black female love interest into their white counterparts. This type of filmmaking was considered to be edgy in cinema. Nevertheless, the 60s in black cinema paved the way for the new surge of films that was to become the blaxploitation era of the 70s.
All I want is to make a future for this family. All I want is to be able to stand in front of my boy, like my father never was able to do to me, and tell him that he'll be somebody in this world, besides a servant and a chauffeur.
Well, Ruth, we're just plain working folks.
This is the morning I'm supposed to bring the 50 cents to school, Mama.
Yeah, well, I ain't got no 50 cents this morning.
Son, how come you talk so much about money?
Because it's life.
Ooh. So now money is life. Once upon a time, freedom used to be life, but now it's money.
Mama, it was always money.
Sometimes, children, you just got to learn when to give up some things and to hold on to what you got.
I always did want to live in a house, Grandma.
It's like I can see my future just stretched out in front of me, my whole future. A big, blank, empty space full of nothing.
I mean, what do you think you're gonna gain by moving into a neighborhood where you just are...
Sorry, Walter. I got a bad feeling.
Thanks, Walter.
Damn these eggs.
Travis, is in the right amount of zeros?
And it's gone.
Gone.
How did we get to this here place? But I thought I taught you something else, too. I thought I taught you to love him.
They teaching you how to be a man?
And I say it loud and good. Hallelujah.
In my mother's house, there is still God.
This is my son. My son.
There's always something left to love. It's when he's at his lowest.
See, I'm 35 years old, and I ain't got nothing. I ain't gonna be nothing. We don't want more money.
Black and American cinema made for black audiences in 1970s are known as blaxploitation films. These movies, often set in urban environments, controversially perpetuate black Americans on screen. These films put black audiences in a position on embracing movies that may negatively portray black. Not every black film or movie that stars a black actor is a blaxploitation film. There are specific characteristics to consider and certain films to set standards. Genres, themes, and marketing are the top three characteristics we consider in defining a film as a blaxploitation. Main styles include crime, action, drama, and comedy. Other popular genres and themes with fewer amounts of movies include horror, thriller, western, sexploitation, and slavery. The characteristics of blaxploitation movies became a little more subjective to the viewer. The typical blaxploitation films include an all-black cast accompanied by a dedicated soundtrack performed by some of the most popular funk and soul artists of the 70s. These movies feature some of the biggest African-American actors in Hollywood. They were highly sought out for their talent and popularity, which helped surge the market in the mid-70s.
Bond, cooler than Bullet. Rated R. If you want to see Shaft, ask your mama.
I'm gonna say a Black Ave Maria for you.
king of crime is born. A mob boss who started in the streets.
When Foxy Brown comes to town, all the brothers gather round, 'cause she can really shake 'em down. Foxy lady, Foxy lady. Pam Grier, that one chick hit squad who creamed you as coffee, is back to do a job on the mob as Foxy Brown.
I'll take care of Cleopatra Jones.
Damn, look like my women is on time. Babe, I could sure warm you up.
No shit, baby.
I can dig it.
He's black. He's brutal. He's boss. Fred Williamson is Boss Nigger.
They call him boss.
Meet Mr. Jonathan. Behind the wheel, he's got the feel. This stud is no dud. He's bad. He's mean. He's a loving machine. He's the height of fashion, the peak of passion. Sends gangsters crashing and women thrashing. Black shampoo.
You shall be Blackula.
Blackula. The Black Avenger.
You know, he is a strange dude.
The new Black Wave films consider the African American experience in its own terms, instead of filtering it through implied white values or tailoring it for white audiences. These movies not only were made by blacks and about blacks, but for blacks. These movies depict a point of view that were neither a self-conscious, socially responsible film bearing a liberal message, nor was it an exploitation film using sex or violence as its currency. Movies that move on beyond the ritual changes of racism, beyond the image of grown and angry black characters, to a new plateau of sophistication on which there is room for a good and a bad characters of all races, on which racism is not seen as knee-jerk response to skin colors, but as a failure of empathy, a failure of the ability to imagine the other person's point of view. The Black New Wave takes its tone from Spike Lee, who is as happy to offend blacks as whites, who allows his characters the freedom to be flawed and relieves them from the obligation to be exemplary. New Wave era movies are about emotion and about universal desires and needs. They are not self-conscious, they are not regretting to respond to the feelings, real or imagined, of the white viewers.
The only reason I'm consenting to this is because I wish to clear my name. Not that I care what people think, but enough is enough. And if in the end it helps some other people out, well then that's fine too. I consider myself normal, whatever that means. Some people call me a freak. I hate that word. I don't believe in it. Better yet, I don't believe in labels. But what are you gonna do? In my experiences, I found two types of men. The decent ones.
I know it sounds corny, but if I didn't follow you, I might not ever see you again.
You're right, that does sound corny. And the dogs. I've never seen anybody who like to look at themselves more than you do. Don't you ever get tired?
Never happened, baby.
What?
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 Just let me smell it.
It seems that men are taught not to be in touch with themselves, with their true feelings, but the things that they do say.
I'm everything that you need.
You are tripping.
One day you're gonna wake up in this bed and I'm gonna be long gone.
You know, when I woke up this morning, I had a feeling I was gonna have to slice you. You can't ask me first. I asked you. You never did have enough drive or ambition for me.
It's about control. My body, my mind. Who's gonna own it, them or me? I am not a one-man woman.